Hey everybody, Whitney LaBrie here, and I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. This week we're gonna go small, like that tiny, like that small. That's pretty small. So let's get started. So today we're gonna make a small scale little room box that can go inside your 12 scale dollhouse if you want, or you could just have it as a regular little accessory for the rest of your mini Christmas stuff. Some of the items that we're gonna need here today is some wallpapers here. So I have these small scale wallpapers. I had these already. There's several Etsy websites now that you can actually go and purchase different prints and flooring and then just print them up. And these are all on paper, including my flooring. I'm gonna have some 1/8 scale ribbon here in gold. I have a little tiny red bow here. I have a light, just one single bulb light here. You can purchase these on Amazon actually, or at your local dollhouse shop if you have one. I've got some blue tape. I've got some of my wooden pieces here. This is all gonna be balsa wood, but you can use basswood too. That's probably actually better. And then I'm gonna use Elmer's school glue, but wood glue is also really good for this project. My little Christmas tree, and I've got some other remnants. And then these are just some little items that I may use or may not use that are just small scale. I've got my tweezers, of course, some scissors, but there'll be other things that we'll need, other products that we'll be using along the way. These are the leftover pieces from my shining room box that I did back in October. So I'm going to cut those down, and then I'm going to give you the measurements here as to what sizes I use so that if you wanted to do something similar, you can also do the same thing. Let's get started on putting together the actual base of the room box I'm saying small scale because the print on my wallpaper is half scale, and so is some of the fireplace stuff that I'm going to be using. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my two larger wood pieces together, and I'm going to use my Elmer's glue to glue that. Again, you could use wood glue, and then I'm going to use my blue tape to hold it together. And you can see here I'm using my toothpick. I use toothpicks a lot when I use glue, just so that I don't get crazy with how much glue I'm using, because I tend to over glue a lot. I don't know why that is. I guess I'm always thinking about the future and will it hold for a really long period of time. I'm just gluing that at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to take my blue tape and I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that it stays in place while it dries. I'm going to work on the flooring next. So basically, like I said, this is just a printed floor on paper. I'm just going to take my little wooden square and cut the flooring out. Now, I'm just using my scissors to cut it straight up and using the flooring as my stencil, but you could easily stencil that out first and then cut it out. So you just kind of do what's comfortable for you. And then once I know the direction that I want my flooring to go, I am going to actually use my Elmer's glue to glue that in place. Now, when I use this glue, because Elmer's glue, especially with paper, it may want to wrinkle up on you. So I'd like to put just a little bit of glue on and then smear it nice and even with my finger, almost to where it's almost feeling a little dry. And then I'll take my paper and I'll go ahead and place it on there and then push down the wallpaper. And it will stay really well and it will not wrinkle up on me. And this is such a small piece, which it makes it easier when it's smaller, but honestly, it works the same when you're working in larger areas. All right, and once it's in place and I like it, I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on top of it and just let it dry flat. Now, for the walls, for the interior and actually for the exterior, I'm going to use my little green and white Christmas print. It's little green and white candles on that print. And I'm just going to stencil out the size that I need and cut that out. And you can see the interior there. And I just used my Elmer's glue again. And you can see that I folded the sides over, and you can do that too. Now for the back, I'm going to do the same paper, but what I need to do before I do that is add my lighting. And this is such a simple, easy install because it's literally you're just cutting the paper, and then before you fully glue it, I'm going to add my light, and this is just to cover up the wiring, of course. All right, so I'm going to give myself a little room at the top so I can bend the lighting into the little room box, and then I'll go ahead and close up the back side. Now it's time to add the flooring, and again, I'm using Elmer's glue to put that in place, but you can use wood glue. Wood glue works too. The next step is going to be to do the roof. So I'm going to take my stain pen and I'm just going to color the interior of the roof, and then I will go ahead and be putting the same wrapping paper on the top because I'm making it look, of course, like a little present. Now, when you're using the stain pen, Be very careful not to oversaturate, because when you glue it, it's possible that the stain will run into the glue and then stain the interior of your little room box. So just make sure that it's like really fully dry. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut one little corner of the ceiling, and that is to allow room for the wiring at the very top. But once the wrapping paper goes on the top, it will cover that little hole. So now we almost have our completed room box. I'm going to do some edging, but before I do the edging, what I want to do is go ahead and start putting the scene inside here. So what I've decided for my mini scene is I'm just going to do a little fireplace and a Christmas tree. So of course you can do whatever you want. So I have this small scale brick paper here, and I'm going to go ahead and stencil out for the base of the fireplace. And then I have another little fragment here, a little remnant piece, and that's going to be my mantle that I'll stain. And then I'm also going to do the top part of the fireplace in the same brick. All right, so here's the base of my fireplace. And for the opening of the fireplace, I'm just going to take my permanent marker and literally draw in the opening. I'm going to put a fire screen in front of it. So in this case, I'm not going to draw in or paint in a little fire. If I wasn't going to do the fire screen, I would definitely paint in a little fire. That would be really awesome. Here's the fireplace, kind of what it looks like so far. And then I went ahead and placed it inside my little room box. And there you go. All right, now let's accessorize that fireplace. So I have a few things here. I printed up little tiny stockings. I have this little tiny fireplace screen here. I've got these 3 toothpicks that I'm going to make into candles. And I have a little piece of aluminum foil here that I'm going to cut down to make a mirror. All right, so I've placed the fire screen in first, and then I delicately cut out my little stockings, and I also went ahead and glued those in. And now I'm painting the candles. I'm painting the toothpicks white, and while they dry, I cut down my aluminum foil a little bit more to a perfect square. I'm going to place that above the mantle. And then I have this is actually tiny little remnants of my shrubs that I used for the labyrinth garden when I did that. So I had some of these little pieces left over. So I broke them down even smaller, and I'm going to use this kind of as garland around the upper part of the mirror and also the mantle once the candles go in. And then to give it a little bit more of a decorative look, I took some of my glitter here in red and green, and I just very lightly placed a few pieces inside there. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there are red and green little glitter balls there. Now for my candle flames, I'm taking my toothpicks and I'm just dipping the tips into my yellow paint, and see how they have kind of like a bulbous top to kind of give it a look of like a glowing candle. And I'm just going to let those dry. Once they're nice and dry, I cut down just the tips and I glued them in front of the mirror, added the garland, and then I also am going to add a little bit more of that red and green glitter to give them more of a decorative look. Okay, let's work on this little Christmas tree. So this little Christmas tree here, I got in a pack at the dollar store for $1. At $29, because they're no longer a dollar store. And then I'm going to take the rest of my remnants that I used for garland, and then also this is some of my leftover lichen that I used for the pond area of my dollhouse. And I'm just going to take both of these materials, and I'm going to take some glue, some white glue, and I'm just going to start shoving it inside of the bristles. And what I'm hoping this will do is give me a much fuller looking Christmas tree and a couple different colors of greenery like you would actually see in a Christmas tree. At this point, I want to add a little bit more flocking to it, some snow. So I'm just taking white Elmer's glue and also white paint, and I'm just mixing it together. And I'm going to use the other ends of my toothpick that I used, and I'm going to just add that all around my Christmas tree. And then I'm going to sprinkle some white glitter right on top of it. Now, I have this ribbon here, and this is also a 1/8 ribbon. And I thought that I might go ahead and decorate the Christmas tree with that. And then I also added a little bit more of my green and red sprinkles to the tree. Now, at this point, really, you could go crazy with the Christmas tree. You could add miniature balls to it. You could cut out little tiny ornaments, and you could just really add a lot. One of the things I was going to originally do was do a little angel on the top, but the reason I didn't is because I'm about to do some edging. And the edging is going to cover the top and you won't see it anyway. And so that's my reasoning for doing it. The other thing I could have done is taken the base off of the tree, added a little Christmas tree skirt. That would have been adorable as well. And that would have given me room for the angel on the top. I could have also added some prints to the behind the Christmas tree to add small pictures. So again, you can just do whatever you like. You can go crazy with this. Now I'm taking my 1/8 inch gold ribbon and I'm going to glue it around the backside and the top of the room box to make it look as though it was a present. And then last but not least, I added my little red bow, and there you have it, your little tiny Christmas room box. Now, another thing that would be fun to do, you could do tiny presents around it. I mean, you know, you could go nuts. I mean, I added my little angel right there as well. I thought that was really cute. And then this is what it looks like when it's lit up. I hope you enjoyed this small project this week. It was super fun to do. I would say once I gathered all my materials and everything and just sat down, I was really able to accomplish this really in about an hour and a half total. And so it was just a really quick and easy but fun project. I could now put this inside my dollhouse, maybe near the Christmas tree, and just really enjoy it every year. And definitely I have to make a few other ones. You know, this was the first one that I've ever made. And so once you do one and you really get the feel for it, you could really go crazy, right? So I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it and also sharing it with you. Have a great holiday, and I'll see you soon. All right, so that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm Whitney, and this is my little elf, Tiny Whitney. And today's video was actually a suggestion from a viewer like you. Also, it really helps the channel if you like, subscribe, and share this video. So if you have it in your heart to do so, please do that. We really appreciate you being here. And remember, in this crazy life, it's the little things that matter.